Hi, I'm Sharon Hales, and today I am at Rockhaven, what used to be Rockhaven Sanitarium. It's located on Honolulu Avenue in Montrose, California, and it's pretty obscure. You probably drive by it a lot and don't realize that it's here. But I'm coming behind the gates today, and I'm here with a special guest, Joanna Linkhorst, who is the president of the Friends of Rockhaven, and she's going to show us what is here, what was here, and why it's important to our community. So Joanna, tell us your role and what goes on here at Rockhaven.
Well, about 3 years or so ago, the city began to get interested in a property that they had purchased back in 2008. And so I stepped in with the Historical Society of the Crescenta Valley to help reinvigorate interest. And during that time, I've learned so much history about Rockhaven, the women that were here, the women that worked here, and basically how sanitariums was a founding business in the Crescenta Valley. People came out here because this was the healthiest air in the world. Even the street Briggs is named after a gentleman who came out because his wife had tuberculosis and he had a bullet still in his lung from the Civil War.
Oh my gosh.
And he was going to begin a sanitarium, but he, much like many other people, discovered there was more money in owning the property and selling it. So he never started one, but there were as many as 25 from Big Tahunga Canyon out to the Arroyo. Many of them respiratory, most of them mental. This one is unique, began in 1923 to be operated by women for women with mild mental and nervous disorders to give them an opportunity to recover and not just get locked away.
I asked Joanna where she wanted to start first, and she said, let's head over to the Acorn. Tell us what the Acorn is, Joanna.
Well, all of the buildings are named after some form of flora and fauna. We have the Canary Cottage, the Rose Cottage, the Oaks Building, the Elms Building. And the Acorn actually was a garage for the Rose Cottage.
Oh, okay.
And it got converted into a room for a single person, perhaps a nurse, who would then be able to look after the people in the Rose Cottage and the Elms.
What else do you have to show us that you normally show people?
Well, some of the items that just made my heart go pity-pat are like a German Bible that we found. A woman by the name of Consuelo Wright, who was an actress and her husband was an actor. Many of her items and photographs from throughout the ages got left upstairs in the Willows. And it's just amazing to discover these things and see these beautiful women back at a time when there was so much life. We discovered a 1931 yearbook upstairs, and I brought this down to just kind of help bring this place alive. Care was.
So they had a beautiful facility and excellent medical care.
Oh, yeah.
And wasn't somebody related to Marilyn Monroe here?
We had Marilyn Monroe's mom here in the 60s. We, as if I was here. Yes, and well, maybe we'll tell this story later, but she did have a propensity for being rather dramatic.
Marilyn Monroe's mother?
Yes, Gladys Ely.
Walking across this 3.5-acre property is really amazing, the multitude of buildings and cool things to look at. So Joanna has taken us now to the Pines. Tell us why we're here.
Well, Agnes started with 6 women in 1923, and inside of a year she had 24 women. So she began expanding by purchasing buildings that were already here, and those are the craftsman style ones built between 1920 and 1928. Then she began having more dorm-like buildings built in the Spanish colonial revival style. So from 1923 to 1939, during the Depression years, Agnes was able to not only take care of women, but employ people and do construction. And in this room in particular, Marilyn Monroe's mother, Gladys Ely, was staying. And she really was mentally ill. They believe now that it was possibly bipolar. And she felt the need to escape, but not just escape. She needed to escape dramatically. She tied sheets together. And instead of going out a window that's about knee level, she went out the little tiny window in the closet, and she made it all the way to Shadow Hills before somebody found her.
So the sheets were a huge benefit going out this window that was 4 feet high?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe she was a really tiny woman and needed to make sure she had a safe little descent.
Okay, very cool. What else do you want to show us?
May I show you the bathrooms?
Love to. The bathrooms have quite eccentric wallpaper and tile combinations, and Joanna says that there's a green, yellow, and purple bathroom. We are in the green bathroom. Tell us why you chose the green one.
There's something quite amazing about this color, this black, and in particular this little detail that gets put into the tile here. All of them have them, but this one is particularly elaborate. I find these colors, these details, these things that get put in so remarkable. The thing about being listed on the historic registry is a wonderful thing, and it protects the places by law, but only to a limited extent. And it really mostly has to do with the exteriors of the buildings. This place, currently owned by the public, has an opportunity to be open to the public to see things that you couldn't see on somebody's private home or somebody's private business. Things like the tile like this, the built-ins like this, would have to be changed out. But if we can create a museum, then we can show not just people our age, but further generations, the kinds of things that they did in the 1930s.
Well, and it's a time capsule through the ages because changes have taken place, so we can see elements from all ages.
Right, the
not just from
1980s wallpaper,
Right.
the Victorian styles of how she put the wallpaper on the ceilings in some of the bathrooms.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is fabulous. Great. So at one point, there were about 120 residents here, and we are now in the Coulter Cottage to see how some of them lived. Show us, Joanna, what is still here.
Well, this is a building from 1923, and it's fun to think this was somebody's house, but Agnes purchased it and had to turn it into a place where many women were going to live. So to be able to fit them into the parlor or the sitting room, she put in several Murphy beds.
What a throwback. Well, Joanna, tell us in closing, what was a really important benefit that these women derived from staying here?
I was told the story of a woman who brought her mother in who was belligerent, kicking, biting, and she was not to visit her mother for a couple of weeks. So she called to see how her mother was doing and said, "How is Mrs. Jones?" And they said, "She's doing fine." And she said, No, Mrs. Jones, my Mrs. Jones. She said, "No, she's doing very well." By receiving the care, the dignified treatment, by always having their hair done, always being dressed nicely, volunteers would come in and do the ladies' nails. They got a better sense of their own dignity, of their own self-respect. And it changed this woman's behavior. And it changed the way that other people would feel too. Patricia and Agnes both knew that people were more likely to come and visit if the people that they were visiting looked nice and felt nice. So this was absolutely a remarkable place for people to be taken care of. And when you take care of women, you take care of their families as well.
That's very true. Well, Joanna, thank you for sharing this treasure trove in our community with us. This is something that is rare to be able to see. And so Joanna has taken us behind the scenes, and I'm very grateful to her for that. Tell us how we can learn more about Rockhaven.
We are posting pictures on Facebook almost all the time, information about what's going on, and we have a lovely website with various information and history and things like that.
And what's the website address?
friendsofrockhaven.org.
friendsofrockhaven.org. And if you'd like to visit me, I'm Sharon Hales. You can see me at sharonhales.com. Thanks so much for being with us today, and I'll see you next time with a Foothills Find.